Welcome and hello everyone. I hope you are doing wonderful. So in today's session, welcome and hello everyone. Sorry. In today's session, we are going to start the chapter number 3 of the volume 2. So how many of you are attending the economic survey session for the first time? Please say first in the chat box. Krishna Sarkar, you don't need to record the session. This session is also live streaming on the YouTube. So you can get the session recording from there. Okay. Okay, wonderful. So first question is, how many of you are really afraid of economy? Economy is something which you don't read in your graduation, your school time, most of you, right? So I consider, and in fact, this is the fact, it's not about me, that many of you are having a phobia about economy, right? So today I'll be working on the external sector. And my promise is that I will simplify this very important chapter. From this chapter, every year, minimum 3 to 4 questions are coming. And we will solve recent previous year questions, and you can see what are the kind of questions that are coming, right? So although the class is for the economic survey discussion, but we have to focus on the exam. So what is relevance of this economic survey in the exam? We will be focusing upon that, and we will be solving various previous year questions, right? So if we see the index of volume 2 of the economic survey, so in the volume 2, there are total 10 chapters, out of which we have completed chapter number 1 and 2 in the previous sessions. So in the last 3 sessions, we have completed these 2 chapters. Now third chapter is external sector, which is very, very important. After this, there will be 2 more chapters, 4 and 5, which are also important. And these 6 to 10 are not that much important because you will not find much of the concept there. So to start with external sector, first of all, I want to ask from you people, what is the meaning of external sector? External sector का मतलब क्या होता है? So answer is very simple. Basically, anything which is happening, any transaction which is happening between a country and the outside world, it can be in the form of export or import of the goods or services or the financial capital. All of these transactions are part of the external sector. So all the transactions which India is doing with the rest of the world, please understand this term rest of the world is denoting all the countries apart from India. So this is the meaning of external sector. Now I am giving you the first question. Okay. So please take your time, 1 minute, read this question and solve this question. Those people who are not comfortable in economy and you feel that this question is difficult for you, don't try to, you don't get discouraged. Rather, just read the question and we will discuss it. Okay. You just read the question, understand this, no need to be fearful about it, right? And those of you who have good command over economy, you are most welcome to give the answer. And I will request, please give the answer in the personal DM. Okay. Personal DM. Okay. Okay, so basically the first question is about the balance of payment, right? So in this case, first let us understand what is balance of payment, and after that we will solve the question. So there are two answers possible in this question. Some of you might be saying option A, some of you might be saying option C, right? Actually, if you see, both of them are not accurate. Both of them are incomplete. The first one is all the import and export transactions. So this export and import transactions, they usually denote the goods. They do not include the visible, they do not include services, and they do not include the capital transactions. And if you see option C, this is telling transaction between government only, right? That means it is excluding all the private transactions. So if we go to the closer definition, to the real definition, the actual definition is very, very close to option A, because here import and export of transactions of a country, and the word all means everything. Import and export, we will consider that, okay, all outgoing transaction and all the incoming transaction between a country and rest of the world during a year. This is the most appropriate answer. Still, it is not the correct answer, I will say. Okay. So now what is balance of payment? So just understand, just listen to me, don't see on the screen. Balance of payment, this is a, a kind of ledger. This is a ledger. Okay. Suppose this is India and this is rest of the world. Lot of transactions are happening between these two countries. So what we are doing, we are making an account of all these transactions, and on one side we are writing incoming transactions, and on other side we are writing outgoing transactions. So this account of incoming and outgoing transactions which are happening between India and the world, this account, this statement, this document, it is called balance of payment. So this is a simple thing, right? So it will include all the transactions, whether the transactions happen between the government of India or the private sector of India and the rest of the world. It will include every kind of transaction. It can be the goods, it can mean the services, it can mean the capital, right? And normally for any account, we take 1 year of period. So this is a just simple document, which is just writing down that which all transactions are happening between between one country and rest of the world. Okay. So if we see this external sector definition, this is the broad definition, and this balance of payment is very, very close definition, option A, right? Now coming to the component of the balance of payment. So basically when we are saying it includes all the transactions, now we will classify all these transactions into two major categories. First category is the current account, and second category is the capital account. We already discussed this concept of current account and capital account in the previous sessions, but still I will discuss it again, because the context in the earlier chapter, it was revenue versus capital, public finance, and here it is current versus capital. So capital, the meaning remains same. Any transaction which is impacting the asset or liability. What is asset? Asset is means a property which is going to give any income in the future. What is liability? Liability is an obligation which is to be repaid in the future. So if we take the loan from the bank, that is a liability. If we buy a house property, that is our asset. So if any transaction, for example, we are taking the loan from outside country, or any person is investing from USA into India, or any NRI is depositing the money in India, or these kind of transactions which are impacting the asset or liability, they become part of the capital account. So you can see it will be in the form of loan. The loan can be taken by the government. This is called external assistance. So India can take loan from World Bank, or it can take loan from any country like Japan, or it can be external commercial borrowing, ECB. Commercial borrowing is the borrowing done by the private sector. So loan is one thing. Then we have bank account transactions. So our fellow Indians who are residing outside India, they come into India and they deposit the money in the Indian's bank account. Now this is creating the liability in India. This is creating the asset of the NRI. That is why this is part of the capital account. And third is the investment. This investment can be in the form of direct investment or portfolio investment, FDI or FII. So these are the capital account, and all other transactions are the current account transactions. So current account transactions are those transactions which are not impacting the asset or liability, and normally these are of short period. Okay, so for example, this loan, it might be of, say 20 years, 50 years. Okay, FDI can be for very long period of time, but the current account transactions, these are usually completed within 12 months. Okay, now within the current account transactions, again there are two kind of transaction. One are the visible transaction. So what is the meaning of visible transaction? Okay, just give me a second. Yeah, so visible means which can be seen from the eyes. That means the transactions in the physical goods. Sorry, I'm really sorry, there is some problem in my tab. Yeah, so visible means those which can be seen from the open eyes, physical goods. So visible will include, for example, import of the crude oil, or import or export of the car, mobile, computer. So they are the transactions in the goods. So it will include the import of goods and export of goods, and the net impact of both. That will be called balance of trade. उसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? Balance of trade, right? So we will talk more about balance of trade after some time again. Now coming again back to the two classification of the current account. One is the visible, another is the invisible. So in the invisible, all those transactions which cannot be seen from the eyes. For example, the transfer of income, profit, interest, or dividend, or other services which are provided. For example, banking services, financial services, IT services, the transactions involving those. Okay, and third is the transfers. For example, our fellow Indians, they are remitting the amount into India, or we are getting the donations from the other countries, or we are getting the gifts. Okay, so all these are the services, income and transfer. Now please understand, all of these transactions which we have discussed so far, they can be either incoming transaction or outgoing transaction. Then what is the meaning of this? The meaning is that either we can be receiving the profit, or we can be remitting the profit. Similarly, either we can be receiving the donation, or we can be giving the donation. So ultimately, the amount that we are writing in the balance of payment is the net amount. You have to understand. Okay, so this is what is the total shape of the balance of payment. Now there are various kind of deficit also, or surplus also. So basically this is a balance is means there will be two sides. One is the incoming and another is the outgoing. So it will always be the case that either incoming is more or outgoing is more, either incoming is less or outgoing is less. So at some point of time, if we see, suppose we see on 31st of March 2021, either there will be surplus of incoming or there will be surplus of outgoing. So accordingly, we will be deciding whether overall in the last 1 year there is a deficit or surplus. So deficit is a condition of shortfall. Whenever the incoming are short and outgoing are more, that is a case of deficit. So they can be current account deficit, they can be capital account deficit. That means if the overall current account transactions incoming are less than outgoing, that means there is current account deficit. Okay, similarly in case of the capital, in India, normally what happens, if we see the overall balance of payment, it remains positive. Overall balance of payment, it remains positive. And if we see the two component, capital account balance, it normally remains positive because we are receiving good amount of investment. India is a very fast growing country. The investment opportunities are very good. The labor cost is comparatively cheaper. We have good demand of goods and services because our increasing population. So it attracts a lot of investment. You might have heard recently, big multinational furniture company has announced to start the operations in the Uttar Pradesh, Noida. Similarly, a lot of other companies are coming. So investment is coming. But in the current account, there has been persistent deficit. Why? Because we are importing the crude oil, we are importing the gold and other things, and our exports are comparatively less. But the good thing is that during the lockdown, during the last 1 year, our current account has been in the surplus. So this is the good news. And this is after a very long time. This has happened after, so many decades. But normally, if you see the trend, current capital account is surplus and current account is deficit. Is it clear? Now, if you see this question, the answer is option A. And please check UPSC. I don't remember what is the UPSC's opinion. Anyone remember what is the UPSC's opinion? What is the key given by UPSC? In my opinion, it should be A. I don't know what is the view of UPSC in this. Anyone remember what is the key given by the UPSC in the website? You can type in the chat box if you are sure, if you have checked it from the UPSC website itself. C, okay. Okay, if UPSC is saying C, then you have to go for the C, but UPSC also does the mistake. And I can say, yes, in this case, we have to, follow the UPSC only. In this case, I can't disagree with the UPSC, even if UPSC is wrong, okay? Because we can't fight the case against UPSC. Anyways, you can choose option C in the exam, but logically, I won't go for the C. Now, see, I will be discussing the concept. Right? I will be discussing the concept over here. Plus, we will be discussing the economic survey trend. Now, what is economic survey? Economic survey is a general observation of what has happened in the last 1 year, right? In the economy. So, after every concept, I will tell you what is the observation of economic survey on that particular thing. So, with respect to the overall balance of payment, we are running a, normally we have a current account deficit normally, because we are a developing country. We are, investing in the machinery, in the infrastructure. We are investing in health, education, everywhere. So we normally import a lot. We are a developing country, emerging country. So we normally have current account deficit. Okay. And we have, capital surplus. And I have discussed this point also. Current account deficit is usually financed by a capital account surplus. Now, in the exam, they can ask this statement. Okay, they can give this statement, and this statement will be correct. So they can frame a question. They can just put this statement, and they can ask whether this statement is correct or not. But normally, normally this happens. But since the Q4 of 1920, that means since the January 2020. Since the time the COVID came into picture, there has been a different kind of trend, that is current account surplus along with the capital surplus. So overall there is BOP surplus. So BOP surplus has always been there in the previous years also, but this time it is because of both current account and capital account surplus. Are you clear? This is a major trend that you have to see. This has happened after so many times. And if you go by this trend, if the question comes in the exam, then you have to mark accordingly, right? So if this statement comes that current account deficit is usually financed by capital account surplus in India, the answer is yes. This will still be correct, because this is an exception. This is not usual thing. This is the usual thing. So we have to go with the usual thing. Okay, please read very, very carefully. If there is a statement usually, then you have to go with this statement. This is accurate statement. Clear, everyone? Now, so you can see the trends in India's BOP. क्या trend है आप देख सकते हैं, and let me tell you, this trend is, you can observe it if you want, but I will say it is not important for you. You are UPSC aspirant. You are not going to appear in the Indian Economic Service. In case you are appearing for Indian Economic Service, then it is important for you. Otherwise, you can ignore this. But still, you can see FDI is very, very high, right? FPI is very, very high. Otherwise, cut it out. No need to waste your time in this. I have already explained this. So there is export of goods, import of goods. If we take the net effect of this, then we have trade balance. Then we have invisible. In the invisible, we have three kind of transaction, and the combined effect of visible and non-visible comes the current account balance, and then we have capital account balance, and if we combine both, then we get the balance of payment, and the ultimate impact is in the reserve, foreign exchange reserve. Okay, now the difference between the balance of payment and the balance of trade, right? So I told you that I will be coming on the balance of trade. So balance of payment is the overall balance. It is a broad term, and balance of trade is part of the balance of payment only, right? So balance of payment includes all the transactions which are happening between two country, between one country and the rest of the world. Balance of trade, it includes only visible item. That means only and only the goods, right? and it will always balance itself, and it can be favorable or unfavorable, right? Now balance of payment, it includes current account and capital account, right? And balance of trade, it includes export and the import effect, right? So this is the overall difference between the two. Now coming to the reserves, so reserves basically means foreign exchange reserve. So if you see this statement, you will find reserve use, the item number 15. So what is the meaning of reserve use? The combined effect of all the transactions which are happening in between India and rest of the world will be either in the form of reduction in the reserve. So if there is more outflow of income, then there will be reduction in the foreign exchange reserve. हमारे पास जितना भी foreign exchange reserve था वो कम हो जाएगा, और अगर in case there is more incoming, then our reserve will increase, because ultimately जो हमारा foreign exchange reserve है, जो हमारे पास में foreign exchange balance है, that will be impacted. Okay, so reserve use is basically nothing but the foreign exchange fluctuating, ठीक है, कि उस पर कितना impact है. So reserve means foreign exchange reserve, and it will consist of 4 items: foreign currency assets with the RBI, gold stock of the RBI, reserve trans of the IMF, and SDR of the IMF, right? Now this looks to be very simple, okay, and I am not going to discuss all these things in detail right now, because that I discuss in my static lectures, in my conceptual lectures. If I start discussing each one of these items, then it will take a lot of time. But just understand that, okay, there are 4 items, right? And there has been a question on this thing. In fact, 2 questions, one in 2013 and again one more question in 2020 also, right? So take your time and solve this question now, 2013 question. Those people who are watching on the YouTube, please give the answer in the chat box, in the YouTube only. Okay, please keep participating, keep commenting. I promised you that I'll be solving a lot of previous year questions, because ultimately our purpose is here to clear the exam. Okay, so we must really be in touch with the previous year questions, then only we can win this race. I'm expecting more answers. Everyone, please give the answer in my personal chat box. At least you should try, okay? You should try. So I'm again showing you, you can now see this. So we have foreign currency assets, we have gold stock of RBI, we have reserve trans with IMF, and we have SDR of IMF. Okay. Now again, you can solve this question. The answer is very simple. The answer is B. Okay. So this is, the answer is as simple as this only. 2013 question. Now 2020 question. Now you can see, I mean, the level of questions. Okay. You can see how easy the questions are coming. If you just understand, if you just go into a bit depth, the answer is very, very visible answer. The gold trans or the reserve trans refers to what? So there is only one option with respect to IMF, right? IMF wala to ek hi option hai. So answer is option D. I just wanted to show you that what kind of questions UPSC is asking. We don't need to become the researcher. We don't need to unnecessarily indulge into too much of data or graphics. That will be intellectually stimulating, but competitively disadvantageous. Okay, so do you want intellectual stimulation or you want competitive advantage? The choice is up to you. Now coming to the foreign exchange reserve, what is the trend of foreign exchange reserve? You can see, there is a drastic jump in the foreign exchange reserve of India. When everything was falling, foreign exchange reserve was increasing. It has increased more than $100 billion. This is a very, salutary figure. And in the UPSC, they will ask a question: in the last 5 years, the foreign exchange reserve are consistently decreasing or steadily decreasing or steadily decreasing or increasing. So they will use the word steadily. Okay, but if you see in economy, there is hardly anything which is steadily increasing or decreasing. Just like your studies, आपकी studies क्या steadily increase होती हैं? कभी नहीं होती. Daily सोचते हैं कि कल ज्यादा पढ़ेंगे, लेकिन नहीं पढ़ते हैं. Similarly, वो decrease भी नहीं होती. आपको डर लगता है तो आप थोड़ा बढ़ते भी हो. Similarly, the economy, it never, there is rarely anything which is steadily happening in the economy. So foreign exchange reserve, it is all time high. This is all time high. इंडिया की हिस्ट्री में सबसे ज्यादा है. हम लोगों के पास कब तक था? ऑल टाइम हाई था जनवरी 8 2021 को 586 बिलियन. दिस इज रियली सैल्यूटरी एंड वी शुड बी प्राउड ऑफ इट. ठीक है. एंड इट वाज कवरिंग 18 मंथ ऑफ इंपोर्ट. सो देयर इज अ टर्म कॉल्ड import cover. So import cover is basically simply, and it has been already asked in the UPSC also, that is why I'm discussing this point. So import cover is basically the amount of foreign exchange reserve that we have, how many month of payment of the import we can do from there. So the number of month for which we can pay, number of month of import payment which we can pay from the existing foreign exchange reserve, that is called import cover. So this is simple statement, and this has already been asked in the UPSC. So you can see a lot of questions coming from this area in the UPSC, and we are touching very relevant part. Okay, now this is something important. At the end of 2020, September 2020, foreign exchange, India is the 5th largest foreign exchange reserve. So you should remember this, because anytime they can ask this question. They can ask this question in a different form. Just remember India is the 5th largest, and just remember who are the topmost. So first is the China, second is the Japan. Okay, China, Japan are the 2 topmost country, and we are the 5th largest. Now you can see here sources of foreign exchange reserves of and import cover. क्या सोर्सेज हैं? ठीक है, तो वी हैव फॉरेन करेंसी एसेट्स. हाईएस्ट क्या है? हाईएस्ट आपको मिलेगा फॉरेन करेंसी एसेट, दिस ब्लू वन. देन वी हैव गोल्ड, देन वी हैव एसडीआर, देन वी हैव आरटीपी, रिजर्व ट्रांस. ओके, तो आप देख सकते हैं. सो हाईएस्ट शेयर इज ऑक्यूपाइड बाय द फॉरेन करेंसी एसेट. दिस थिंग दे कैन आस्क. जस्ट रिमेंबर दिस मच. और कुछ आपको देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. ऊपर नीचे साइड में इधर उधर कुछ भी देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. अर्जुन की आंख की तरह, अर्जुन के फोकस की तरह अपनी आंख को आपको मछली की आंख पर रखना है. ठीक है, आपको सिर्फ ये देखना है कि FCA इज द लार्जेस्ट सोर्स ऑफ द फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व इन इंडिया. दिस इज मोर देन सफिशिएंट. If they will ask the question, they will ask from this area. Now, who will tell me what is the meaning of rule of origin? This is one of the term that has been there in the budget. तो बजट के अंदर ये टर्म को डिस्कस किया गया है, इसीलिए मैंने आपको यहां पर ये शो किया है. What is the meaning of rule of origin? Who will tell me? You can just type in the chat box. By the way, any of you who don't have the subscription to the free economic survey course, so we are offering free economic survey course that is available on our website. If any one of you have not joined yet, then I am giving you the link. Join it, and you will get all the recording and PPT of these sessions, previous sessions, and all the upcoming sessions. Okay, so if you don't have the access, please type yes in the chat box, and I'll share the link in the chat box. Okay, Mr. Kuvar, I'm just sharing the chat link in the chat box. Okay, so you can go and subscribe to this course freely from this. Okay, now anyone who would like to share the meaning of rule of origin, you can type in the chat box. Okay, Kiran, very good. This is the criteria needed to determine the national source of a product. Very good. So basically what happens in the international trade, there are various agreement between the countries. For example, we have FTA with Sri Lanka. So India, this is India, this is Sri Lanka, and we have agreed that if some product is imported from Sri Lanka, then we will be charging no import duty, 0% import duty. But the condition is that this product should originate in Sri Lanka. Now, the rule seems to be very simpler, but actually, if we see, there is a loophole. Other countries, for example, Pakistan, if we import from the Pakistan, then we will charge 10% import duty. So what some of the Pakistani traders can do, they can manipulate and they can route their product through Sri Lanka. They can first transfer the product to Sri Lanka, and from Sri Lanka they can import to India, so that they can save the import duty. So to avoid this kind of manipulation by the other countries, by the other countries businessmen, these rules of origin are defined between various countries. Now, what will happen? India and Sri Lanka, they will mutually agree that how will they determine the rules of origin between the two countries. Are you getting? So this is very, very simple. This is not part of the GATT. This is not part of the GATT. This is the mutual understanding of the two countries. So basically, rules of origin are the criteria needed to determine the national source of a product. And the point is to simply prevent the manipulation for saving the duties. And what can be other purposes? To implement anti-dumping duty, safeguard duty, and to ensure that the impact of most favored nation treatment is going to the relevant person, to help calculate the trade statistics, right? To help apply the labeling and the marketing requirement. Now, coming to the overall world trade of the world कि overall India world के अंदर क्या trade का impact रहा है. So if we see in 2020, definitely because of the lockdown, there has been negative impact on the trade. Negative impact रहा है, ठीक है. Now, please solve this question. This is the question of prelims 2020. Take your time and try to solve this question. By the way, mistakenly I have already given the answer. Okay, anyways, now you can solve. Forget the earlier state. Okay, so I'm getting the answer in the personal chat box. Very good. I'm not going to discuss this answer right now, although the correct answer is option B, but we will see how we can solve this question after some time. Now, one more question. Everyone read the question carefully. Yeah, so basically both are correct, right? And R is the correct explanation of A. We have already seen this, we have already discussed this in detail. Okay, BOP versus BOT, we have already discussed, so no need to repeat again. And you can see again the uh, lockdown effect. There is negative growth. Ultimately, ignore this. I'm bringing the PPT in front of you. I'm giving the graph from the economic survey, but I am cutting it down so that you can also cut it down rather than studying this. Now, what is the answer to this question? Prelims 2020. So we have solved more than 6 questions so far. I'm trying to give you maximum questions so that you are aware of what is happening in the exam. This is the question of prelims 2020. These type of questions are coming. Okay, so basically, normally the answer of this question would have been 1, 3, and 4. So but I'm again showing you. Sorry. You can now see again see the. So normally the answer would have been D, but if we see this year's trend, if we consider the economic survey of 2021, the recent economic survey, then statement 4 is also inaccurate. Okay, so the answer is 1 and 3, which is not given in the option. And the question of is of previous year. So this year, if this question comes, then in that case, again we will go for the option D only, although this is conceptually wrong, but because we don't have the option, this is the best option available, so we will go for the option D only, 1, 3, and 4, because normally there is a deficit. This year there is no deficit, but normally there is a deficit. Now let us read this question of statement 1. India's merchandise exports. What is the meaning of merchandise? That means the physical goods are less than merchandise import. So yeah, this is accurate. Okay, we are always in balance of trade deficit. Our exports are less than import because our import are in the form of petroleum products, crude oil, gold, etc., and they are very, very high. India's import are decreasing still. So no, this is not happening. Import company or import are actually increasing. If you see, we are investing more into machinery and all because we are a developing country. Option statement 3. India's export of services are more than its import of services. Yeah, this is accurate. This is the accurate statement. So 1, 3, and 4 option answer is option D. Now coming to the observation of economic survey, India had the most favorable trade balance. That means there is trade surplus with the USA and Bangladesh and Nepal. Remember this. Remember these 3 country name. We have a surplus with the USA, Bangladesh, and China, and we have deficit with China, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. Are you getting? तो ये आपको याद रखने की जरूरत है. यूएसए के साथ में हमारा सरप्लस है, and just remember that we have a very good relation with the USA and we have very good relation with the Bangladesh, right, and Nepal, and we don't have very good relation with the China, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. Remember in this manner, and you can see this statement, and no need to remember this. I have already told you. You just need to remember USA, Bangladesh, Nepal. Export trend, export decreased, and there are 2 important items in the export. One is POL. Now you just need to remember that POL means petroleum, oil, and lubricant. This is the full form. If there is a question in the prelims, they can ask what is the meaning of POL. So this is petroleum, oil, and lubricant. And this has contributed negatively to the export performance. Not that much important. Non-POL, this is expanded because we see in the COVID time, we have exported a lot of medicines and agriculture products, drugs, pharmaceuticals, minerals, ores, etc. So यहाँ से हमारा export surplus रहा है. Okay, so non-POL item, what are the non-POL item? Gems and jewelry, engineering item, textile, electronic, these items. So in the interview they can ask this type of question, right? So overall the total, if we see the total export, the highest export is of the petroleum products. So what we are doing, mostly we are importing the crude oil. We have good refining capacity and we are exporting this we are exporting this refined product to the other countries. That is why there is export of the petroleum product. So highest imported item is the crude oil and highest exported item is the petroleum product. Second highest is the drugs, formulations, and biologicals. So this is very, very important. Okay, so last year it was this pearl, precious, and semi-precious stone, but this time this drug is getting the second rank. So first rank is petroleum product, second is the drug formulations, and third is the other stones, precious stones, gold वगैरह जो आते हैं. ठीक है, so there is a big change. ये इस बार का change है. That is why we can say we are becoming the pharmacy of the world. Okay, so second largest export commodity is the drugs and formulations. And if there is a question in the mains exam, how we grow, how we can increase the growth rate, then you can quote that as per the economic survey 2021, we can become the pharmacy of the world. As we can see in the last 1 year, the drug formulation have been exported at a very high level. Okay, just need to remember these small things. You can try to use all these things in a very simplified manner. Now coming to top export destination, right? So last time in the previous slide we discussed about trade surplus. So trade surplus, it was USA, Bangladesh, and Nepal. But now we are talking about the total exports. कि total export सबसे ज्यादा किसके लिए था? ठीक है, तो सबसे ज्यादा export था हमारा USA को. So trade surplus as well as total export, in both the cases it is the USA, and the second highest export was to the China. Malaysia is a new entrant in the top 10 and Nepal is no longer in the top 10. You just need to remember कि मलेशिया हमारा अच्छा फ्रेंड बन गया है और नेपाल से हमारी फ्रेंडशिप कमजोर हो गई है, right? So this thing has been reflected over here. Top 3 you can remember: USA, China, and UAE. What are the initiatives taken by the government to boost export? So trade facilitation agreement, all these things you just note down the homework. One is the trade facilitation agreement, read more about this. Number 2, production linked incentive scheme, and number 3, trade logistics. You go after this class and do more research upon this. This is the homework for you, okay? Because the questions are possible from this area. Now coming to the merchandise import. Whenever you read the term merchandise, what is merchandise? Something related to goods, not services. So in the merchandise, crude petroleum is the highest imported product, and the gold import are coming to the third position. Earlier it was second position. I have already told you. Computer hardware peripherals, they are new addition in the top 10 imported commodity. So we can see here what are the top 10 imported commodity. 1 is the petroleum crude, 2 is the petroleum product, 3 is the gold, 4 is the telecom instrument. You just remember top 3: petroleum crude, petroleum product, and the gold. These are the top 3 items of import. If we see the top countries in the import, the highest import is from the China. Okay, and Switzerland is no more in the top 10 list, and China is the new addition. Sorry, Germany is the new addition. Okay, now coming back to the same question which we discussed 2020 question, this question. The value of India-Sri Lanka trade has consistently increased in the last decade. So basically, whenever you see these kind of extreme term, consistently increased, steadily increased, it means there is some problem. Okay, so just be just be aware about this term. Just open your ears and eyes whenever you see this kind of word. But I am telling you, there is no shortcut formula. You have to observe every statement. If you are very much sure this statement is inaccurate, despite of writing the steadily increasing or consistently decreasing or any extreme word. So this extreme word is not the short formula to declare whether a statement is right or wrong in the exam. You have to be very open minded, and you have to see the basic funda, the common sense and your meta memory. अपनी जो मेटा मेमोरी है उसको तलाशते रहिए, उसको एनालाइज करते रहिए कि वह ठीक है या नहीं है. ओके, सो इंडिया श्रीलंका केस में दिस इज एक्चुअली रॉन्ग ओनली बिकॉज हम देखते हैं कि कोई ऐसा रीजन नहीं है जिसकी वजह से कंसिस्टेंटली इंक्रीज हुआ है. ओके, textile and textile articles are constitute an important item in the trade between India and Bangladesh. Yes, if you know, Bangladesh is known for the textile exports, so this can be the correct statement. In last 5 years, Nepal has been the largest trading partner of India and South Asia. No, नेपाल में इतना है नहीं potential कि वो largest बन जाए, साइज ही इतना नहीं है. लार्जेस्ट अगर हम देखते हैं तो बांग्लादेश ही है एक्चुअली. ठीक है, तो statement 1 and 3 are wrong. Answer is option B. So you can solve this type of question with the help of meta memory, right? Although this answer has been given in the World Bank report पढ़नी पड़ेगी आपको economic survey पढ़ना पड़ेगा and all these things. But actually, if you see, if you can solve this type of question with the help of your elimination technique, with your common sense, nothing like that. And in fact, even if we discuss this economic survey in detail, still you will not find the answer to this type of question in the economic survey. That is why I want to always show you that from the previous year economic survey, we can see that even this type of question can't be solved in the exam. So you have to apply the common sense. There is no other way out. Coming to the invisible. So invisible may we have the services, non-factor income and the transfers, something which cannot be seen. So net services receipts are stable. This is the biggest source of our stability, that our IT sector is doing good. Software services are resilient. अभी सब कुछ ऑनलाइन हो गया है और इंडिया से बहुत कुछ एक्सपोर्ट हो रहा है. This is very natural. Composition में you can see the largest composition is of the software. सबसे ज्यादा एक्सपोर्ट किसका हो रहा है? सॉफ्टवेयर का हो रहा है. सारे सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर के मजे आ गए लॉकडाउन के टाइम पे, बाकी लोगों को तो वाट लग गई है. ठीक है, नाउ प्लीज सी दिस क्वेश्चन एंड सॉल्व दिस क्वेश्चन. Okay, so this is a very simple question. If you have heard about my discussion, then answer is option C, balance of trade and balance of invisible. These both constitute the balance of payment. Okay, sorry, these constitute the current account balance. Foreign asset and SDR are not part of the current account. So current account deficit of last 10 year average 2.2% of GDP, but this time it was surplus 0.1% of GDP because of net invisible receipt and lower trade deficit. So क्या हुआ लॉकडाउन की वजह से? There was less import of the petroleum products. So you can see this trend of current account balance. So in the previous year there was negative, and this year it was positive. Composition of current account balance, net services has been very very good. Okay, no need to see any other thing, बाकी इसको आप ignore कर सकते हैं, ठीक है. So answer here I have already discussed, option D. Now come to this question, please see this question and solve this question. What is the answer to this question? In case some of you are the fresher, you are reading this chapter for the first time, then I will recommend, please go to our YouTube channel. In the YouTube channel, we have uploaded the basics of these all concept, the lectures that. So you will find the videos there. You just search DIADEMY IAS in the YouTube. You will find the YouTube channel, and you can see the basic lectures from there. Okay. Please give the answer in the chat box, everyone. The answer is very simple. The answer is option B. Foreign loan, FDI, and portfolio investment. Private remittances are part of the current account. So answer is option B. So what is the trend of capital inflow? It was modest, and India was the preferred investment destination. So there was net FDI flow. हमारा net FDI flow था. Now the next question. So you can see, I mean, from a very small area, a lot of questions are coming. How important is this area? Normally we spend a lot of time in useless things, but if we just impact on the high yield things, the questions are going to come from there only. You can see a lot of questions are coming from this area. This is the fourth such question which we can see from this small area in the previous year, last 2020, in the exam of 2020 only. Okay, just give me a few seconds. Please keep answering. So I can see you are giving the answer B, D, A. Okay. Answer to this question is option B. Okay. FDI. There are two concepts basically. One is FDI, one is FPI. FDI is long-term investment. FPI is short-term investment. If we see FDI, any investment in the unlisted company and more than 10% in the listed company. This is FDI, and FPI is less than 10% in the listed company. Now, statement 1, investment through capital instrument, essentially in a listed company. Capital instrument के through होता है, लेकिन this is not the correct answer. Largely a non-debt creating capital flow. Yes, non-debt creating है. Investment which involves debt servicing. No. Investment made by foreign institutional investor in the government security. No. Answer is option B. Right. Now FDI, you can see the trend of FDI in the last one year. In fact, last 3 years, there has been very high growth. Net FDI to GDP. Again, no need to remember how much everything. I'm just showing you the trend. No need to remember all of these things. FPI also witnessed a strong rebound. FPI, you can see, again, no need to remember. I'm just showing you and cutting it down so that you don't waste your time in unnecessary, useless things. Now, next area. You can see a lot of questions. 2020, 2019, 14, 13, 2006, a lot of questions coming from. Okay, so let me discuss statement 1. India's external debt. If you see India's external debt, it is of two types, the government or the private debt. Government debt is also called as the sovereign debt. In case of India, the private debt is more than the government debt. In fact, there is a ratio of 80%, 20%, almost. Similarly, it is denominated only in the US dollars. So the word all is very extreme word. Yes, majorly it is in the US dollar only, but not all. So both the statements are wrong. Answer is option D. Now you can see some of the trend in the economic survey. External GDP, external debt to ratio of GDP increase marginally. And कितना है ये? This is approximately 20%. Okay, just need to remember हमारा कितना external debt है? 20% के आसपास है. आपको सिर्फ इतना याद रखना है. Okay, these are some of the indicator, vulnerability indicator. Total external debt कितना है? External debt to GDP ratio है ना, around 20%. You can see. Okay, they can ask a question. This is steadily decreasing or steadily increasing. None of them is accurate. Okay, short-term debt, original maturity to debt. Short-term debt, you can see. This is short-term debt. Okay, reserve to total debt. That means ki, how much foreign reserve we have as compared to the debt. So we have 97% of the foreign exchange reserve with ourselves. So we are very safe. Even if someone asks us to pay the debt immediately, we can pay the debt immediately to the foreign countries. So our reserve to debt ratio is very good. This is very good. You just need to remember external debt to GDP ratio, reserve to total debt ratio. Then we have serviced debt service ratio. This is 9.7. Debt service ratio. So answer is neither 1 nor 2. Indian rupee exchange rate. This has been, depreciating, appreciating. We will not discuss all these concepts right now. And then WTO. We will discuss this WTO chapter separately in the current affairs. And you just need to see that, okay, these are the things. You just need to see more about dispute settlement system, right? And safeguarding development concerns. Otherwise, nothing important in the economic survey. This is the overall summary of the this chapter, right? With this, I complete the session. I hope the session was useful. And in case you have some question, please feel free to ask me. I have tried to cover so many things in the 1 hour. Okay. In fact, less than 1 hour. I have discussed more than 10 questions of the previous year and have gone through the entire chapter and have told you the basic concept also. Next session will be happening on Saturday, and in that session we'll be trying to quickly complete the money and banking chapter, right? So I'll take maximum 1 hour. 1 hour के अंदर पूरा I'll try to cover maximum previous year questions and maximum concept, the basic concept, everything. So I'll be now going a bit off from the discussion. I just wanted to ask, how many of you are really serious about 2021? Sir, please wait. Sir, give the questions fast. I didn't understand your question. Can you please explain? See, I have already said, in case you are a beginner, then this lecture might sound be very, very fast for you. You need to go through the basic concept. And for that, you can go to our YouTube channel. You will find the basic lectures on the external sector, and you can enjoy from there. Okay, Mr. Arvind? Okay, Satyam, very good. You are preparing for 2022. So you are much ahead of your time. How many of you are preparing for 2021 and not yet actually preparing? Be serious. And I don't know what are you waiting for. I don't know what everyone of you is waiting for. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? I know many of people who have, who are going to appear in 20